Whenever you're ready, see.
Okay. So let's see. Makud is helping the Six Eyes move. Let's see. Eli talks to Mina a bit about the earlier conversation. She buys, you know, she says she loves him too and all that other stuff. She buys some expensive bowls. Um, she tells Eli that he needs to apologize to Makud. And so Eli and Makud make up. Declan goes to visit the Estes temple, and while he's there, he discovers the priestess Caliba was killed during a robbery 2 or 3 weeks ago. The killer hasn't been caught. Tira and Murin are fine. He talks with Murin about moving them to Dithoin to be with his sister and his adoptive father. Because ultimately it's Murin's decision because he's almost of age. He seems okay with it. Let's see. Mina sends a message to Jari asking him to return quickly so that we can go deal with the spurned. Also sends a message to Deontay. And he agrees to come to teleport them directly to the spurned. Let's see. She also does some communion. The spurned is not undead. Some of the control has been broken. And yes, the elves hire the Barakados that attacked the Six Eyes. The next day, Jari returns. Abrashmina and Declan speak about Kaliba.
Wait,
She
hold on. I must have missed that last session. The Spurned hired the Barakados?
No, the
No.
elves did.
Elves.
The elves did. Okay, I'm
Yeah, sorry, I switched topics in my communion. Spurned was not undead. He has some of his control broken, and the elves hired the Barakados that attacked the Six Eyes. And she scryed on the Spurned to see him standing on a blah 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 blah. K is for the kindness of Kaliba, which makes the path clear, I think is what. Yeah. She does communion about Kaliba. Was her death a simple mugging? Yes. The death was not intentional. And the killer is still in a shar, which I didn't say I told Declan, but I told Declan. Deontay takes us to the spurned, and there's a gigantic sandworm, and we fight him. And it is a close call almost for Declan, as he was greater and visible for most of the fight. So Abrashmina couldn't let see that he was taking terrible amounts of damage. But he managed to get the mask off of the spurned, and the spurned was very creepy and very necrotic, and Makud eventually smashes him into dust. And that's where we left off.
Indeed. So you all stand there, like the exceedingly hot desert sun, like beating down on you. Sweat covering every inch of you, like the sand kind of sticking to it. You're breathing heavily. The spurned finally vanquished. What do you do?
The mask also turned to dust?
It did.
Can there be like a fragment of it left?
Sure.
Makud puts his hoof down on it and smashes it to dust.
Okay. I'm glad that's what you wanted to do.
Yes. I was like, don't give him the opportunity. Ambrachmina will look to Declan and say, "Are you all right?"
Other than being struck with a sense of finality, I'm fine. Thanks to your intervention. Thank you, Nina.
You're welcome. Thank you for your assistance, Deontay.
No problem. It was rather straightforward in the end.
Right. Shall we return to Ashar, I suppose? It feels a bit... Doesn't feel like... doesn't feel like we should be done. It seemed like it was almost too easy. But I suppose that is mostly due to the fact that the sandworm is now just a worm?
Beetle.
Beetle.
I think we should be willing to count our blessings where we can.
Where exactly are we?
The desert.
No, I mean, where in the desert? Abroshmin is gonna look around for like landmarks.
I thought you said Ashar was in. We could see Ashar in the distance.
Yeah, you can see a shower in the distance.
Oh, okay.
He was heading towards Ashar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like 30 miles from a shower, probably.
Jeez, it's a good thing we did not wait for Jari to come back on his own recognizance.
You're welcome.
Oh my. I suppose yes, that we can return to Rishar and celebrate, and perhaps once everyone has recovered a bit, we can see about going about and getting the monk of the waste.
Are there any other signs of worms around or anything like that? Or do they all seem to be kind of...
No, the only kind of worm tracks you can see are the one that he was riding.
Somebody place a thumper.
I mean... So do we think that his control over the worms was broken to the point where he only had this one?
Hard to tell, but this is definitely the only one in the vicinity. You'd know if there was more.
From what we gathered from Nina's scrying communions, his ability to control the worms was greatly diminished when the Elder Brain was destroyed. And with this, threat should be ended, if I understood you correctly, Mina.
That is my hope as well. I could see about seeing if this is true, but for definite. But I feel like this was it. I did not see any of the other worms whenever I scried upon him yesterday. And the last time I had scried on him before that, it was like the desert was riding with them. They were not far.
Perhaps this was a last-ditch effort then.
Still, we must remain vigilant.
Yeah.
Understanding who this man was and where he came from may give us some insight into preventing similar occurrences in the future.
Well, yes, perhaps because there was that spell that we found. Perhaps that was how he had control of this one. It was numbered and named. Perhaps that was how he had control over the one that he attacked the Bakar with, but the Mind Flayers, Elder Brain, gave him the ability to control more than one at a time. Perhaps. This is speculation.
No, I agree. The picture is certainly incomplete, so understanding how one attains such power, even if the source of that power is currently destroyed, is important. So that I can have such power.
No.
No.
Ambrashmina tucks that that little I am blah 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 blah. I named the spell a little bit further in her
I
pocket.
mean, Bryn technically has it.
Yeah, that's right, you do.
Who are we more afraid of having this, Declan?
Probably Bryn, because she could actually read the minds to find out what the names were. I was totally like, I was sitting there like messaging Jade, but like during the fight, like, oh my god, do this, and then it got turned into a worm, and then we didn't have to.
Well,
Beetle.
that and I was concentrating.
Yeah, beetle.
I was concentrating on haste.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Well, suppose we should use the spool to go back to Asha now.
How far of a walk is it? 30 miles?
30 miles.
I would
And-
prefer not to walk in the desert heat. Possible.
In this climate,
In this
Fine.
economy?
in this pandemic. But yeah, Makut has the spool. We can just spool our way back to the Mirage.
You coming, Elf?
I'll make my own way. But
Oh,
I'll see you
well,
around.
are you still going to help us get to the monk?
Sure thing.
At your convenience, then, I suppose. You can meet us at the Mirage when you are ready.
I mean,
Or you could come
When?
with us.
Yeah, probably setting a time would be good. A few days' time. Enough time to rest, relax, recover. She'll kind of glance
noon
at
in
the
3 days then?
noon in 3 days. Yeah.
I've only got one teleport left, so I'm going to use that to go home. But
You could teach me to teleport.
goodbye. And he'll bow and teleport.
I guess I'll have to learn it on my own. The spool then?
Good.
I said spooled.
Spooled.
Dan keeps getting all the magic teleport doodads. I want a magic teleport doodad.
Well, then you should roll whatever it is he rolled to find it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, he
I-
critted, I think, didn't you?
Something like that.
Possibly
Yeah, you did.
in the looting after the city or something.
the sacking
with
of
the mages sec.
Tunnel
Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah.
Also, I imagine like it's quite large. I like the idea that he like wears it as like a bandolier because it had 6 like baubles on it and they were each like hand sized or something.
No, they're not that big. It's
No,
it's they're like, the size of a diamond on someone's ring.
That's what we've been burying and giving out to people. You could lose that.
Yeah. You can also hide it in small places. They're not like big fuck off
I was
gems.
thinking it was like
Yeah, I was thinking
one of those magic 8 balls or
No,
something.
it's a spool.
Yeah.
It's like a little thing.
Yeah,
It's a
I was.
magic spool, though. I
The
Dan, I
spool-
also.
No, you said it was metal. Like
Yeah,
I was
I was-
imagining it as a metal spool, like something chunky.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
was also picturing big bobble things, like those little like monk prayer beads that they always put on fighter characters in like Street Fighter and Dynasty Warriors or whatever, like that are like the size of their face. That's what I was picturing.
no, it's just like a spool. Like, I don't know, maybe 5 inches long. Like,
How do we get that around a person or all of us?
the thread is like magic thread that goes on forever, but the spool itself is just a wee thing. And there's little gems in it, and you just kind of are able to keep unraveling thread as much as you want.
Was that an off the cuff like item for you, or did you have that planned out?
No, I had. It's an item. Well, it's kind of half and half. It's an item of type that I use a lot, i.e., something that comes with a few parts that you can leave behind and then teleport to, so that it's teleport, but you have to have been there before. I give that item out quite a lot. This is the first time I've done it as a spool with thread. but I've thought about that idea before, so it wasn't like completely off the cuff. But yeah. So yeah, because it's meant to, like, if there was a giant gem, someone broke into your house, that's the first thing they're gonna steal. You don't want a big gem that someone's gonna steal.
I was thinking more like this kind of metal thing, like metal thread or something, or cable or whatever that had like weighted ends, and they were just big, like magical arcane cylinders, or not cylinders, circles, spheres.
I will.
Not like a tiny little cheese wire thing. Like
No, it's like
if
it's thread.
as
It's like
thin as
sewing
thread.
thread. Yeah.
See, I was picturing it was kind of like the big spools from like Disney's Sleeping Beauty on the spinning wheel. So like I was kind of picturing it would be something that you would like unravel with two hands. That's how
Yeah.
I pictured it.
Yeah. I mean,
And so like
I
the
see that.
big fist size baubles made sense in picturing that.
Yeah, I get that, but no, it's a small thing designed to be sneaky and hidden.
Right.
Sorry to disappoint.
I'm just saying Makud probably should have made checks for losing all of the ends off those things because they sound tiny.
They are. But yes, you guys can wrap the small, thin thread around your large selves, and teleport back to a shop. You arrive to find the Mirage pretty much empty. A few people sitting at the bar, but nothing. I think the thing is in the basement, correct? The gem.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's where you put it, because otherwise you'd just be teleporting into the. There's gonna be a lot of spilled drinks, but yeah. But the day is yours, so.
It's like the afternoon right now, yes?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like 12:30.
We should send word to those Woven City to let them know we are safe as soon as possible. Give them an idea of when we can bring them home.
I mean, I can go. Spool.
Bye.
If someone wanted to come with, you could, but if you bring up the dwarves, it doesn't need much excuse. Didn't even ask for what word you wanted to send, really.
Everything's fine now. How are you?
So, is anyone going with Makud?
I'll go.
Cool.
You staying?
Spool.
Yes, I will stay.
Okay.
All right. So you arrive in the office of. Fuck, I always forget his name.
Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. And find it completely empty. And when you step
We
out,
arrive on the desk again, like.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
Makud
yeah,
was
yeah.
next to it. Okay.
No, you're on the desk. And you find like his rooms, everything is completely devoid of people. And you step outside and there's no one on the street outside, and he lives on a pretty busy thoroughfare.
Can I roll a perception check to see if I can hear anyone? The city is a cavern, so I assume there's some sound bouncing around.
Yeah, so it's like a big spiral. Absolutely, you can.
You've come with then.
25.
Okay, so you like just pause and you hear like a really distant kind of clamoring, shouting sound. It almost sounds like a battle coming from above.
Yeah. From above.
Yes.
Okay. I'll look to. Sorry, was there more?
I was just gonna say, like, that kind of above you is like where the large feasting hall was, and most of the rest of the people live.
I'll say to Makud and Bryn, sounds like there may be a commotion up above. Be ready for anything.
Is there a way to get up there that doesn't include Durgar lifts?
Yeah. The whole thing is a spiral, so you can
Okay.
run all the way up.
Makut will set off at pace then.
Yeah.
I'll get a little bit ahead, and then start phasing through walls to try to get in there and stealthily.
Yeah, for sure. So you come up to the next level, which is like one of the main housing levels, and it is like barren. No one there. Nothing looks out of the ordinary, but you don't see any people. And you keep going. It takes, a long time to keep running. And the noise gets louder and louder and louder. And finally, you kind of climb the last few steps to the feasting hall. And there you see every dwarf in the city. They are... Some of them are kind of standing or sitting at like the kind of large circular ring bench that is like goes all the way around the width of the circumference of the city, and you see they're all eating just guzzling food and making merry. But you see there's a huge crowd to one end, and as you kind of approach, because they're all short, you can see over them, and you see there's a raised stage kind of platform, and on it is this kind of big setup of what looks to be a cooking area, and there you see Holly and Kaya preparing these huge meals and swing drinks, and the dwarves, and they're just the dwarves are like cheering and laughing and drinking, and you see them like there's this big kind of sliding or a big kind of slide like down to the lower level, and they'll get like a big plate of food, put it on the lower level, and you see like a group of dwarves like run forward, kind of plate up their food and then leave. The whole city seems captivated in getting this food.
Well, this isn't what I was expecting.
Seems Holly's cooking is popular wherever she goes.
Apparently she, yeah.
Just see like a huge...
I mean, the dwarves have quite an appetite.
Yeah, you see like a dwarf kind of sidle past you, and he's got two like massive kind of... They look like almost like chicken legs, but they're like 2 or 3 feet long. And he's got a massive one of those like steaming on his plate with roast potatoes. And he's like burning his hands as he's going, ow, 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 ow.
Didn't think they could grow potatoes underground.
They can grow pretty much anywhere.
Those are the things you turn into chips, right?
Yes.
See, I remember. I mean, like, Taps' temple.
Good always remembers.
I think I would like some chips, actually. And Dex will start walking towards the banquet.
I was going to say, I think we skipped lunch, so...
Yeah. So you guys are very much at the back of the queue, and you have to kind of wait for everyone else to be served up before. But you see a few familiar faces, and you get a lot of claps on the back and stuff. And eventually you guys are like the last few. And the last meal kind of slides down, and there's some fried chips, as well as some, more of that strange chicken-esque meat. And like a few bits of green that all the dwarves ignore.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like Holly kind of lean over the counter and wave.
Making friends wherever you go?
She shrugs and she says, "What can I say? Food brings people together." And you see she's like drenched in sweat, face kind of bright red, completely out of breath, but she looks very happy. And so does your mother. Kind of similar state, but smiling still.
So we actually came to see if you wanted to go back to Ashar, but
Now?
yeah,
Well,
but I
we've
mean,
got
you guys.
dessert to do.
Waited to wait until the end of the feast. I haven't eaten anything yet.
And
Well, I mean, we can always eat, but
Holly kind of steps down and walks over to all of
What-
you. And she says, well,
what's for dessert?
that's a good question. She kind of looks around and she's like, we'll have to figure out what else they have here besides meat, potatoes, and alcohol.
I mean, really, the three food groups.
Maybe some kind
They
of
did have some very wonderful mushrooms last time I was here.
maybe some kind of moss sorbet.
It could work. I think
I can make anything work.
that's true.
Do I have sugar?
That is a good question. And she sort of like goes over to a dwarf and begins conversing, and she's kind of speaking in like slightly broken dwarvish, or slightly broken Durgar. Like Holly speaks, surface dwarfish, but not as many people from Callan do, but not quite the Durgar dwarfish. Though there is a lot of overlap, I imagine. And she says, well, they don't have sugar, but there is apparently a very nice sap they can collect that is very sweet, so I'm sure we'll figure something out. But anyway, how are you all? How's everything? All the trouble?
Seems to be taken care of for now.
Oh, well, that's good. And everyone's all right. No one got hurt.
As well as we can be, I guess. A few scrapes, I guess. No worse than usual.
That's good to hear. She kind of claps you on the cheek. She says, well, I think we should all eat, and then try something for dessert, and then maybe, yes, back to Ashar, get some rest. It's been all go, as you can see, and she like gestures to a city full of dwarves.
Tell me, is Ethan about?
Oh, she is. I don't think she particularly enjoyed the feast atmosphere. I think she may be, well, she said she was heading home. Did you not see her?
Did not. Do you have an apartment nearby?
Oh, well, we were staying at Tamara's house.
I'll return there. Declan will take a capon and go.
Nice. It's real good.
Nice.
Just if you're wondering. So while the rest of you, like, sort of sit down to enjoy Holly's fantastic cooking, Declan, you kind of steal back down the spiral, and you eventually like come to an edge where you see her kind of just sitting, like dangling her legs sort of over the side a little bit, like looking down the middle of the city, like towards the bottom of the lift. Just kind of sitting in silence and thinking, it seems.
Not up for a feast.
She kind of jumps a little bit, turns to look up at you. She says, oh, hello Declan, I didn't expect to see you.
Our business was wrapped up more efficiently than I think we planned.
That's excellent. She kind
How
of
have you been?
pats the ground next to her for you to sit.
He sits.
I've been alright. Missed the sun, but the dwarves have been lovely. Holly's loving it here.
She seems to be settled in quite well. And yes, the dwarves are hospitable people.
Yes, it's been alright, but I look forward to coming home. Can I come home?
Yeah, yes. We've come to retrieve you. I think the idea was to give Holly, Kaya, Akud, and Brynhild time to enjoy the feast, and then we return shortly after.
She nods and she says, "And what about home?" And she gives you a kind of meaningful look.
That is your desire, then it is our next destination.
Will you stay?
In Thorn?
Yes.
Declan, I think, looks a bit wistful. I cannot yet. While I have fulfilled the promise that I made to Mina and Makud in exchange for help rescuing you, there is more yet that needs doing. Good.
I was going to say, she like leans her head on your shoulder and nods and says, "I knew you'd say that." She kind of gives you a smile.
What was done to you will be done again to 1,000 and more innocents. The cancer that is slavery is not cut out. Its tendrils reach across the face of our world. And there will be more suffering until it is gone.
Well, I'm proud of you.
And are you? You have shown remarkable resilience, dedication. I think perhaps you are more prepared now to chart your own path in life than you've ever been.
I think you're right. I think I feel the same about Dethoin that you feel here, or Ashal. I understand why you have to stay. I understand what you have to do, and I feel it. But I feel it for my home.
Well, we must make sure that you are trained.
I'd like that.
Why don't you show me how your skills are keeping up?
And he'll stand and he'll pull a dagger out for her.
Right here.
Oh, yes. Trouble waits for no one.
Well, alright then. She'll hold her hand out for the dagger.
And yeah, they can spar.
Yeah. I would just say, as a little, like, development point for her, as you go to hand her the dagger, she'll grab your wrist and try and throw you. Sort of take you by surprise. But that's definitely her, just sort of, whether it works or not. Oh, that was a 2 for the longest time and it rolled over to a crit.
Oh no. Let's see if I roll a crit too. Holy shit, I rolled a natural 20, I shut you down.
Okay. That's beautiful. So I imagine...
I think Declan, respecting that she's clearly like developed, would probably let her have them in.
Yeah, I imagine it's sort of like...
She might flip you, but you might land cat-like grace or something.
Yeah. But yeah, and the two of you spar, and she's definitely, come on leaps and bounds. She's been working very hard at it, so it's good to see your work with her definitely paying off.
Good.
As for the feast, you guys will enjoy the delights of dwarven company and Holly's cooking for some time, and eventually Holly goes off with Kaya for a while and some of the dwarves, and they return with these very, very large baked pies that are apparently full of fruit, but they won't really say what kind of fruit. But they taste fantastic, so it doesn't really matter. And I imagine you probably sort of spend most of the day there, just reveling to some extent.
So as the feast kind of like starts to kind of wind down, and Holly and Kaya are sitting there, Bryn's gonna kind of lean forward and, you know, Declan's going to be probably pushing to return to the Thorn soon. If you guys are interested in sharing a berth and a ship.
To the Thorn? Holly asks.
Well, I mean, it's where they're from. I mean, you don't have to go to the Thorn. I mean, we can arrange transportation back to Callan.
Holly and Kaya kind of look at each other, and Kaya, who is still very, very quiet, speaks up and she says, I don't have any reason to leave. I think Ashar has many problems, but we have a good life here, and if you'll let us keep helping at the Mirage, it's almost like roots, you know? It's the first time I think we've ever settled somewhere for this long, and it feels good. And I don't want to be apart from you, Brynhild. I want to stay and help you, and even if that's feeding you a warm meal or serving you a drink, I want to be a part of that.
I was kind of afraid to get involved with the Mirage. I felt like it was setting down roots. Kind of went against everything we stood for, you know?
Yeah.
It's been really nice. I just didn't want to assume that you would want to stay.
Can't keep walking forever. Sometime you have to sit down. And where we are, we have friends, a life, and a cause we're helping. Your cause. I don't see what else we could want. Maybe some better music in that place, but she kind of giggles a little.
Well, I mean, it's your stage as much as it's mine.
Oh, and she kind of looks a little sad at that, and she says, yeah, maybe soon.
I have his lute, and I will play any song. But we can give it some time.
Yeah. And she's not looking at you anymore. And Holly kind of pats her friend's knee and says, well, I think that settles it. We're going to stay.
Maybe we should think about a visit
to Calland.
Well, to Calland. If you're up for it, the place where it's where I buried him. It's closure.
They both nod, and Holly says, "Aye, that would be good, but well, when we have time for that, I think that would be good." But she kind of like looks around, like trying to find a way to break the sort of somber mood that has formed, and she says, "But well, I mean, Kaya and I are still very much important at the Mirage. We need to fatten up Mina and Declan. They are skinny as rakes."
Absolutely.
150 pounds of muscle, baby.
Yeah.
Mina is
Someone's
tall
gotta-
and is super skinny. She probably looks
Is that-
sickly.
Someone's got to keep Smear in line and make sure he's bringing in decent talent.
Yes, he has well, already worn out a wooden spoon beating him over the head with it, but she grins because you're grinning. I like him.
He's a good guy. But don't ever tell him I said it.
Oh, I've never. But you know, when you're away, we had not trouble, but well, you know, the guards would come round and they just wanted to make sure that we knew that they were still in charge, you know? But
Yeah.
well, Smear sent them packing, and yeah, he's an asshole, but he's an asshole you want on your team, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people probably would have left before now.
I think if I had to guess, I'd say you guys taking a chance on him probably meant more to him than he'd ever say. But he's a good guy. Deep, deep down.
I won't tell him you said that. It'll go to his head.
Smiles at you again. Well, this place has been amazing. I will have to come back here sometime.
You know, if we sneak out now, we won't have to do any of the cleanup.
Well, and she like looks around at just like the absolute carnage of dishes everywhere. That sounds pretty excellent, actually.
See? I was always the best at getting out of the cleanup.
Yes, you were. And she like kind of grabs your ear and like gives it a bit of a pinch before getting to her feet. Well, we've got a couple things left at tomorrow's, but if you all are ready to go, we can go and find the other two.
Say our goodbyes and leave.
Yeah. And yeah, so you guys kind of find tomorrow and some of the other friendly faces, Calfee and Gravix among them, and you guys say goodbye, collect up all their things, and teleport away. Unless there's anything else anyone would like to do, that is, of course. Nope, alright. So yeah.
Did Makud get to do things?
I mean, he probably frolicked in the background, drinking and enjoying company of people.
Okay.
That's okay. Just before he parts with the others, after spooling back, I'm going to say that he picked up on some of what they were saying before he went away or something. And he's just going to say to Kaya, they're not dead who live in the hearts they leave behind. They are not dead who live in the hearts they leave behind.
She kind of.
Our people,
Oh yeah. Sorry, you go.
my people travel as well.
She kind
It is
of.
sometimes good to travel home.
She kind of blinks, like in surprise, and then nods, and you see her sort of wipe a tear from her eye. She says, "That's beautiful, Maku."
Rob?
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Sure. No, I got you. There was just a big pause, I think.
Oh, sorry.
As I say, bad connection.
Yeah, this is absolute nightmare today.
Is Rob talking right now?
He did.
Weird stuff is going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we have like an insane thunderstorm going on.
Is that what's up?
So
It was raining a lot over here as well, but
we've had like triple fork lightning right overhead sort of thunderstorm.
yeah.
You go.
No, I was just saying, we get back. He will say that to her before, like, I presume the others can hear it because we'll be relatively close by, and he's not going to be shy about it or anything.
Yeah.
But he'll say that before turning to go somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. Kai will just kind of wipe her eye and pat your arm and say, "That was beautiful, Makood. Thank you."
Besides, I want to find out what this snow is. Sounds weird.
She chuckles and she says, "It's like sand, only cold and white, and turns into water if you hold it."
Like gives her like a frowny face. That sounds messy.
Once you realize that you can do battle with it, Makood, I think you will appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I here and now challenge you to a snowball fight.
Well, according to the grand order of the snowball fight knights, you cannot refuse this, Makood.
Who will not refuse a challenge?
Absolutely. You'll need a second.
Makood like leans into Bryn. Will you be my second?
It would be my honor, sir. You're going down, Declan.
Well, not with the divine guidance of Mina on my side.
If she were there, perhaps she would say, "Oh no, do not pledge me to your losing battle."
This is after they've teleported back, which is probably they're all probably pretty drunk, and it's kind of dark. So we'll go to like what Mina did during this time in a sec. But you might be there. It's up to you.
No, I was just saying, like, if Mina was there, she'd be saying, "Do not pledge me to your losing battle," and go Russian for some reason.
Oh no!
Bad. So I can take them both in a snowball fight.
Love it. So what's Mina been doing for this sec? Because they were there, they were gone for hours. So you've got plenty of time.
It was like the middle of the afternoon whenever they left. She is there with Eli, yes?
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably having sex. No.
Madar is going for a bath. Because she's covered in sweat and sand, as are you all, but no one else really seems to care.
Makood just shakes it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really. Probably, probably gets her own bath and food, subpar food from what is there at the Mirage without Holly. And just spend a little time with Eli.
All right.
That's all she
Huh.
is willing to put the effort for at this particular moment.
Well, next morning comes around, people probably in various states of hangover / food hangover, but the familiar smell of tea, bacon, and eggs sizzling once again makes the Mirage feel properly like home again, as you'll begin coming to. Holly and Kaya pottering about the kitchen.
Abrashmina is down there and is like, my gods, it has been too long, and is going to eat like hover around the kitchen, waiting for them to finish cooking.
And you get a Makud level plate size. They're clearly redoubling their efforts to get some meat on Mina's bones. So yeah, it's like Makud's plate and then Mina's plate exactly the same, and then Declan and Bryn get like 2 slices of bacon, 2 eggs each.
I feel like we've been shortchanged.
This is rather perfect for me. I feel like I've been overindulging recently. Chalk it up to your influence, actually.
Would you like some of this? There is no way I'm going to finish all of this.
I probably won't. I'm good, but I just would have liked to have been, thought about. I always thought I was her favorite, but now.
Abrashmina looks horrified that like no, I'm sure that's not it. I'm sure everything is fine here, and she'll like
Relax,
start.
Nina. Just kidding. I will always be her favorite.
I mean, yes, of course, you are her friend, and
You're her friend too, which is why she's doing that. She's looking out for you.
It's remarkable after all this time, Mina, you've not grown accustomed to lament and sarcasm.
perhaps it does not translate as well in common, and she's just going to like relax and sit back and just get like another plate and like move half of her food onto it for Eli whenever he finally makes his way down.
Yeah, he'll come down.
I mean,
if he
little
stayed,
after.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if it's still there by the time it gets down.
Yeah, there's that
Makud
too.
might have had double Makud portion.
It's a roll for Makud.
Perhaps your food is
But is the last person to be fed.
I
Imagine
rolled a
Makud
17.
just kind of stands at the end of the bar with his mouth open, and they just slide everything behind.
Makud is the favorite, and
Makud
We all knew
always.
that.
Yeah. But yeah, he'll come down. Like his hair, perfectly done, taking way longer than Mina to make himself look pretty.
That is because it happens naturally for Mina. She woke up this way. You can ask Dan. It's how ASMR rolls.
Yeah.
Canon.
Yeah. But yeah, Eli comes in and takes 1 rasher of bacon to nibble on.
Well, we have 2 days now before Deontay will come, and we can see about retrieving the monk of the waste. Is there anything that we need to get done in that meantime? Not to immediately get to business, but this Mina says kind of embarrassed.
no, we have a lot of things on our plate.
There's always more work.
No rest for the wicked, right?
Indeed. Or those who fight it. I have numerous projects I need to continue work on in my workshop, but I'll be occupying myself with that and with patrolling in the evenings.
Anything in particular you're looking for?
Sorry, say again?
Anything in particular you're looking for?
I need to find Sister Calibar's killer, bring them to justice if possible. There is greater information gathering that needs to be done to gauge the state of the city and take its pulse in regards to public sentiment towards the elves, towards slavery. I need to weigh the information that I've gained about about the steps that we have taken so far, and how they have affected the people of the city, whether strategy needs revision.
I can help you take the pulse of the city if you want. I mean,
Of course.
I may not go on patrol, but you know, no one's going to say no to letting me take the stage usually.
Quite so. Yes.
I might be able to pick up a few things here and there.
I would
But
appreciate
Perhaps Eli and I could go around the city, checking pawn shops, perhaps, for some of Calibar's effects.
Good.
Because I doubt it was someone from a gang or some other kind of affiliate that would rob a priestess.
Of course. Now, from what we've gathered from your communions, it seems this was a fairly low-level crime. Likely not tied to any vast organizations or deeply sinister motives, other than the typical desperation that drives most crime. Certainly, checking of shops who deal with criminals would be a good start.
Perhaps that is something we can do today. And she says, kind of like glancing at Eli, if he'd be interested, if you're not too busy.
No, sounds good. Shrugs, like, he's happy for whatever.
Thank you for your help.
So I'll hit some of the shadier places this evening and over the next few evenings and see what I can find. Anyone bragging about it or perhaps mentioning other similar things? Have you looked at that? Similar crimes?
Of course. My usual modus operandi is to tap my network of informants to see known agitators of these kinds of crimes and cast as wide a net as possible. Usually takes some time, but if there are more of us shaking the tree, more things might fall loose.
Yeah, I'll head out tonight. Madara, would you like to come with me?
Of course. She smiles.
Any excuse to see me play? Take the stage.
Exactly.
Makut, would you like to come with us, or would you like to spend some time with... Did Jari leave again, or is he still here?
No, he left again.
Okay. Would you like to come with Eli and myself?
I mean,
You
I
said
could
that...
just...
Oh.
Sorry, you go.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, didn't you have a fight to arrange with Al-Jana?
Albajana.
Al-Abjana?
I could go do that. I was going to say if I wander around the street long enough, people might come to me. And then I will beat them up, and then I will get the answers needed.
That is a great strategy.
That is usually how it has worked for him in the past. I do not see any reason why it would stop working. Would you like company, or would you like to accompany us? You do not have to, but you are welcome.
He kind of like shrugs. If you are busy with your things, that is fine. I will be busy with my own things. I'm sure Abojana does not know about Sister Calabar.
No, probably not.
You go check down the shops.
Maybe I will find something that you might like. And Abrashmina says with a smile.
Makud like narrows his eyes slightly, like, is she reading my mind? I don't know the extent of her god powers.
Was he hoping that she would get him something while she was out?
No, he didn't have anything in his head. He's just wondering now,
Oh.
like, how does she know what I like? Kind of thing.
Well, you'll see, depending on what she finds, I suppose.
That was internal monologue.
I see.
Um,
Well, it seems like everyone has various plans for the day / the evening. So I think we'll just go straight into that, to be honest. I think pretty much everyone's stuff is at night, except Mina and Eli's and Makud's.
Yeah.
Right. So, Makud, are you heading to Shal Abajana's? Or are you just going for a walk and see who comes to try and fight you?
eventual destination of Shell
Right.
of Jana. But he's gonna like meander around and just kind of like look at people in case they're gonna invite him into basements and want to jump him. So
Roll me a d20.
okay. 4.
4. Okay.
Big 4.
No one comes to jump you, unfortunately. You do see a figure that kind of catches your eye for a brief moment, just by the fact that they're wearing a cloak and a sort of cowl that covers almost their entire face, and you just see him duck into an alley. Probably nothing. You see that sort of thing all the time, but it's the only really interesting thing that happens on the whole walk. Everyone seems to be staying inside as best they can to avoid the heat.
He'll follow that cloaked, like just get completely off course for like half an hour or something and follow that cloaked guy.
Yeah. You see the cloaked figure sort of wanders down some alleys. They don't seem to have noticed you're following them for the most part. Imagine you're keeping kind of a fair bit back. Eventually you find them kneeling down in an alley with a dead end. And at the far end they seem to be talking to a pair of children who are just sitting like kind of hiding behind like a pile of kind of broken old crates.
Makud is gonna like stand out and go, Declan, is that you?
You see
It is! You found me, Makud.
oh no, my fiction is being taken over.
Yes, and Rob. Yes, and.
You see the figure says no, and they pull down their cowl, but you see Declan's face.
Brain explodes.
Declan Ganger. No, you see.
Savage gang of roaming Declans.
Oh no.
We need a Declan core. You see the figure kind of turn around in surprise and stare at you. with like wide eyes and begin to stand. Kind of hold up both hands towards you as if to say like, don't come any closer. Make me a perception check.
Okay. Is he wearing a mask? 5. Oh, plus like 3 or something. Oh no, plus 6. So 11.
So the first thing you notice is their hands are gloved. Every inch of their skin is covered except like a little bit around the eyes, which is like pale white. Almost, it looks almost like blue in the light, like extremely pale. And like you rack your brain because you've seen something kind of like that before. It reminds you a little bit of Thal, but this person is paler than even Thal is. And Thal's probably the palest person you've ever seen.
I mean, he has seen
Oh, fair point.
Edele, an
That's
actual
true.
moon elf.
I forgot about that. Then, yeah.
It's a backstory
Yeah, whatever.
thrown at you.
You get 5 sessions in, none of that shit matters anymore. No, yeah.
That was your backstory.
This looks to you like a moon elf then.
You are not Declan. What are you doing talking to children?
Kind of walk towards you slowly. I do not know who this Declan person is, but I am trying to help. Who are you?
He looks kind of closer at the person for a second. Male, female? Can he identify from the
Relatively
speech?
androgynous.
Relatively androgynous.
Yeah.
Regardless, Makuta goes, you don't know who I am?
Well, no. I'm sure I would have recognized you if I did.
I have got to talk to Shalab of Jana and put my banner up. And people will know who I am.
They kind of cock their head to the side and frown at you.
He doesn't know or they don't know who the Shal is either.
They're more not sure what you're banging on about with a
Sure.
banner and stuff.
I'm Makud. I'm a Utu of the Vakar.
That name does ring a bell. Kind of scratch the head. Well, it was good to
And
meet
what's
you.
your name?
My name is Ayalas.
And how are you helping them? And he looks out. Well, he can just see playing over the guy, probably. The kid's still there.
Yeah. So you see them. They're both eating very big, like greasy pastries. That with like jam and stuff, and it's getting all over their faces. They look very happy. And Isla says, "I am going to teach them."
Are you sure you're not Declan teaching people things?
This Declan sounds like a wonderful person. I would like to meet them.
I'm not getting a lot of what you're saying, but
Oh, sorry.
this Declan sounds.
It sounds like a wonderful person. I'd like to meet them.
Again.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh, the Psionic Knight from the new UA.
Yeah. Really plays into my Jedi power fantasy.
Yeah, I would say that perhaps Barovia wouldn't be the place to play with psionics, though.
Yeah, probably.
Because the kind of like cursed land feeling is probably going to be hard enough on a druid. Just trying to imagine what like it would be like for a psionic trying to deal with people who have been like tortured and for generations.
Sure.
You have your mic swung up away from your mouth.
I do. Is that better? Sorry.
It was distant C.
Yeah.
Can
There was
you
too much.
hear me at all?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think this thunderstorm is making my already below average internet crash. But there you go. They said, this Declan sounds like a wonderful person. I would like to meet them.
Nobody meets the Declan, not no way, not no how.
I mean, maybe that could be arranged. How? What are you teaching the children?
Magic, of course.
To teach magic? Oh, Declan would love you to teach magic.
Kind of shrugs and says, well, I don't normally teach many adults, but I could show him some things if he was willing to help me with what I am doing.
And what are you doing? Giving pastries to kids?
I have a school. It's very small, but I try and help the children where I can. Give them somewhere to sleep. Give them a skill that can maybe help them make some money when they are adults. But, well, my funds are running low, and so I am having to do extra work, and it is taking up much of my teaching time. But it is okay, I am managing.
I'm gonna roll an insight just in case he picks up on anything weird, but he largely, completely likes this guy at this point. Where's the insight? Oh, it's +1. Excellent. 13.
Yeah, so this person seems very genuine. He seems really intent on helping them. Though it is very, very strange to see a moon elf like not in the palace, B hiding themselves because whenever they do go out they like to look flashy, C helping people because they're generally like whatever, these ants are gonna die anyway. So this is very, very abnormal moon elf from your experience, but you haven't, you've met good moon elves before, so
Sure. I think he's passing this. It's slower than most, but he doesn't necessarily have, that prejudice so much.
yeah, absolutely.
Immediately, because he said largely positive experiences apart from that one, the dick one that I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. Turian Sedarin. So, and I mean, he seems to be doing good things. You run a school.
I do.
Shouldn't you And he kind of loudly whispers it to him that the kids could probably still hear. Be in the palace?
I have not lived in the palace for a long time. I wanted to do more, and well, I learned a new perspective on things, and so I left. They did not want me to leave. They made it very difficult, but I did it, and I am very glad I did.
Okay. Well, I have to go talk to Shell about fighting in the Vicar, but you can come with me if you want.
I live in the Temple District, which is near the Palace District, so sure. And he'll kind of like motion for the children to follow him, and they will.
Have you ever tried feeding them lizards on sticks?
You know, I haven't. I always find they like pastries because they like sweet things. Are lizards on a stick good? I don't think I've ever had one myself.
I don't think you can live on sweet things. I think you need, like, meat.
Yes, that is true. Though, do you know what my favorite food is?
He, like, narrows his eyes like he was doing to Mina, like he's expected to read his mind or something. Mm, nope, nothing. I can't get. I don't read minds.
Moon pies.
Pastries. Pancakes, even. Not pastries. Pancakes.
Is that an Ashari thing, particularly, or is that something you would have experienced?
There's a lot of like
from Obey or
culture
something?
of there's a lot of cultural crossover at this point, and the elves sort of like they're chefs and that sort of thing. Were never like or often
Sure.
not Ashari.
Sure.
So yeah,
Holly might have said
it's
them or something.
yeah, like it's a thing you'd maybe get from Holly, but not something you'd find in an Ashari restaurant. Definitely.
Sure. I have had pancakes.
Do you have?
I've had I have a friend called Holly. She makes them. She's from Galland.
Oh,
Gal something.
you have some amazing friends.
Yeah, I think so.
Well.
You should. Well, when I've like booked this fight, we can go back and we can have pancakes or something.
I think that would be nice, actually. And kind of, he looks up at you. He's still wearing the cowl, but you can see he's smiling. Kind of give you a pat on the shoulder. And then, yeah, you kind of part ways, like you head into the Palace District, and he kind of peels off and goes to the Temple District, which is near the Palace District, but is a bit less, mansion-y, and a bit more like, there's lots of beautiful temples there, but there's also some sort of a lot more modest housing. But it's still definitely like middle class area. And yeah, you kind of make your way over to.
Does he give me directions to get to his house?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because Makud was basically expecting him to just follow him around until he gets home again. If he doesn't want to do that, I'll have to tell him where.
Yeah, so he's gonna drop the kids off at the school, and then if like Makud seems genuinely interested in having this man kind of come back with him, he'll tell him to go to the furthest house on the cliff, because there's a sort of stepped cliff coming off the Temple District, and so he's saying the house like furthest out, which is pretty easy instruction to follow for Makud, who's very good at directions.
Sure.
And you arrive at Shal Abajana's house. The guards just step aside and open the door without questioning this time. And you're just allowed in without announcement. And when the door opens, you see the Shal kind of like clapping his hands together and like walking forward and taking your hand and wringing it and bringing you inside. And he says, "Makud, "Ah, my friend, it is so good to see you." And he kind of leads you in, and then you see like he's clicking at people, and there's already like wine being brought out. And he kind of sits you down. He says, "So, it has been actually not so long."
No, it didn't take us very long. We like got a friend to like take us out into the desert, and then there was a very big worm, and there was the insect masked man, and we all hit him very hard, and I hit him the hardest, and then he turned to dust. And we're saved, I think.
I am very grateful that you are safe, and that you've made us safe.
I think so.
That is very good, very good. And
I think he was coming for here, so no, he is not.
well, Ashar thanks you, Makud. And
Char is welcome.
kind of chuckles. And if you are interested in maybe giving a public spectacle, I could announce you and explain what you have done. Yes, that might rile the
Oh, you
crowd
mean
up even more.
not just to fight?
Oh, I mean you fight, but when you come into the Vakar, when I announce you, I don't just say the same steam breather, Amar Utu. I say all that, but I also say defeater of the sandworms. You know.
He nods. I mean, you saw him, the guy in the mask, who was in the car. The one who rudely interrupted my fight.
Yes,
You can say that he is gone.
the people will love you
Fallen
even
like the
more.
rest of them.
The people will love you even more, Makud. And so, how do you feel about fighting my champion? He kind of gives you a grin, like, you know, you're to know he's taking the mick with that one by not calling you a champion. Whether or not Makud
Sure.
gets that is up to you.
I think in Charles' company, especially as he is so buttery smooth, Makud is in a very good mood around him. So, and the guards let him in without making a fuss. So I'm around for like the next couple of days, and then I go back out into the desert, and then we come back again. So Makud kind of like shrugs. We could plan something for like a week.
A week?
Either like in the next 2 days, and he's like struggling with passing the time together, or a week or more.
And he will kind of pat your knee and get up and say, Makud, will you come with me?
He will get up and go with him,
He'll lead you
wine
out,
in hand.
out into the massive garden, and he sort of clicks at some more servants who kind of run around and grab a giant, funnily enough, a giant spool and begin unraveling. And you see they pull out like this giant painting of Makud, the same size as the one of Fahad the champion on the Vakar. And he says, we could have it tomorrow. I could have this put up tonight, and I guarantee that by tomorrow afternoon the Vakar will be sold out. And in Makud's vague knowledge of some letters, but you know, for our benefit, it says "Return of the True Champion."
I think if it says like Makudo Ama-Otu on that,
Yeah, it does.
he'll read that bit. I think that is possibly beyond him.
Yeah.
As long as he can see that it has his name on it.
I would like.
Um,
I also like to think that he's going to think that it's bigger than the current champion because he's closer
Sure.
to it.
Makud probably without hesitation just sort of sticks his arms up in the air and goes, "Tomorrow it is."
And Apajana claps and like nods to all his servants who also begin clapping. And he says, that is wonderful news, Makut, wonderful. I will have that done immediately. And he kind of points at someone else who begins going off to organise all that. And he says, well, will you join me for supper tonight?
But how far? With all his adventures so far, is it relatively supper time, and he can go talk to this other guy afterwards?
It's a ways off supper time, probably.
Okay.
It's in fact it's still morning, so he'd probably ask you to go to lunch with him then. Actually.
Afternoon.
Okay.
Oh yeah, morning.
No, it's next
We had
day.
a new
Yeah.
day. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, you could he'd ask you to lunch then, not supper. My apologies.
That's okay. Of course. I mean, did I tell you I went and ate with the dwarves?
You mentioned something about that, but I would love to hear it again.
We can kind of fade out there,
Yeah.
I imagine, as it goes into lunching with him. You can always Makud will after lunch he will go find that
Yeah.
guy to bring him back to the Mirage. But
So, Demina and Eli go out to the pawn shop.
Demina. That's an interesting one.
What?
You said Demina?
I said, do Mina and
Oh,
Eli
do
go
Mina.
out shopping
Okay.
in the morning, or do they wait until the afternoon?
I think they would go out that morning because there's lots of pawn shops to hit up, I would assume, right?
I mean, there's the bazaar, which has like lots of that sort of thing, but aside from that, not a huge amount.
There's not like pawn shops like there are like the jeweler shops and stuff.
Not really. Like, if you're gonna sell stuff, you can just sort of walk into the bazaar and shout, and someone will buy it off you.
Okay.
There's like stalls and stuff, but
Okay, I was picturing it would have to go to like an established storefront for that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, let's go. Let's take care of it now.
make me an investigation check then.
Ooh. Which one? Let's go succubus. Do I have guidance?
No, but you can have assistance from Eli.
Okay. That's much better. Thank you for the assistance, Eli. That will be an 18.
So you don't find anything relating to Kabine that you can see. Kabine?
Kaliba.
Kaliba. You know, her effects were very minimal at best. And the killers seem to have only really taken gold. So you don't particularly find anything of that nature that grabs your attention. Though you do find one seller who is kind of like shouting about some kind of magic wares he's brought from a country across the sea. That sounds a little bit more interesting than what everyone else is shouting about.
I will cast Detect Magic and then approach
Yeah. So you walk
to see if
over.
it's actually magical.
Yeah. So he's got this kind of fairly basic stall, but there's several like
Mhm.
large kind of wooden boxes behind him. All of those
Mhm.
from inside are like glowing.
Okay. Ambrashmina will approach and say, "Greetings.
Ah, hello, my lady. And what can I do for you?
You are shouting very loudly about magical wares. I would be very interested in seeing what you have."
Is there something in particular, or would you like to just browse?
Uh, Perhaps you could surprise me. What exactly do you think a lady like me might like?
Oh no, now I've got to make a charisma check and see if this guy's a douchebag or not.
She is with Eli, so
Yeah.
hopefully he's not that big of a douche.
Yeah, he will like sort of look over or hold up. Or not hold up. He'll like go to a box and sort of begin like opening it, and pull out a suit of or not a suit of armor, but a sort of very strange material kind of armor shirt, breastplate that you've kind of never really seen before. You begin like touching it and feeling it, and it feels like really, really, really cold and smooth, and it looks to be made almost of like this really kind of light rock ore that's kind of inlaid amid the steel, and it's got this sort of jade color quality to it.
Where is this from?
This is from the darkest islands of Shakun.
I can tell that it is very powerful. What exactly are its properties?
Well, it'll protect you a little better than normal breastplate, and the added benefit is that if someone strikes a mortal blow against you, that the blow is cancelled.
So it's like a +1 adamantine
It
armor.
is exactly that.
Very interesting. And how much would you want for something like this?
For something like this that came from so far, that is going to be 730 gold at least.
Say what?
I know.
For a +1 adamantine.
What?
That's a ridiculous price.
Christ.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
normal
Never to be
adamantine,
crit again.
never adamantine is just an uncommon item.
Yeah, but +1 armor is
Yeah.
like rare, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's within
So
the rare
having
price.
adamantine.
Hmm?
Having adamantine property on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, that is a very, very, like, as a player, I'm like, oh, that's a really good price. But Ambrashmina's a Shari. And so she's like, I suppose that is nice. What else do you have? She says, trying to act a little dismissive of it.
Kind of raises eyebrows. Well, and he kind of like glances at you both, and he says, "Most of the other things I have are, weapons, which, well, looking at you, maybe isn't exactly what you would want."
No, but I have very large and powerful friends who take great joy in special weapons. Do you have anything that might interest a champion of the Bakar?
Oh, well, we can certainly see. He's not going to have anything better than a fucking legendary hammer, but
Yeah.
yeah, he might have like, I don't know, a sword of wounding or something.
Mm. Perhaps not a weapon then for him. Hmm. So it is mostly weapons and this armor?
Yes, mostly. I do have a dagger that can burn, but I'm not sure that's in your particular wheelhouse.
Do you do anything in trade?
Go on.
Because I already have like this finely crafted armor myself, and she kind of like gestures to like the hide armor that she's wearing. That's like very shiny and fancy looking. It is not magical in and of itself, other than its special nature. Because I don't think it's not magical, right? She looks down with detect
Yeah.
magic activated.
I could maybe take off 50 gold for that.
No. Uh, how about I give you 700 gold for the armor?
Well, you drive a hard bargain, but deal. He gives you a big grin.
All right. Abrashmina will pay him and take her new purchase. I do want to find something for Makud though.
Make
So
a perception check for me quickly.
sure. Oh, that is a 19 on the dice plus 11 for 30.
So he takes the money and kind of pushes the armor, like towards you, and like turns away and quickly like locks away the money, and you see he's kind of beginning to like pack up his stall.
You are giving up so quickly. The day has just begun.
Oh, I have other places to be.
Brashmina's eyes narrow. What is your name? I'm sorry, I was rude and did not introduce myself.
Oh, it's all right.
Your name?
My name is
Is this him floundering for his own name, or is this
yeah,
Rob looking
I'm
for his
looking.
list?
No, I'm looking
Okay.
at a sheet of like 100
Okay.
names. He's
Okay.
floundering. I've never
Okay.
floundered for a name in my life. Don't know what you're talking about. My name is Sabria.
Will you be here in the bazaar again later? Like I said, I have many friends.
Certainly,
What?
certainly. He's like
May I-
hurriedly like pushing boxes.
Okay, he's acting very strange and very weird now. Brashmin is gonna kind of glance at Eli, and she's going to cast Zone of Truth.
Okay.
And she's going to say, how about you explain yourself to me, please?
Oh, there's an off shopkeepers.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop going to the bazaar. They're all weird.
He stares at you with wide eyes.
Turns into a demon.
That's a 19 on the DC for
Yeah,
Zone of Truth.
he rolled a natural 4.
Okay. You were you waiting for me?
No,
Is he lying?
no,
Okay.
he can't lie.
Well, it's not that he can't lie. It's just I know if he's lying.
Aye.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can omit the truth.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have
Yeah,
to
I thought he
answer.
couldn't out and
Yeah.
out lie.
No. I
He's a
just know if
dance
he's lying or
around
not.
Okay.
Where exactly are you going in such a hurry? It seems very strange to me that you would leave after only one sale.
He doesn't say anything.
Brushmina is going to put the armor down.
Just pause. On a failed save, a creature can't speak a deliberate lie while in the radius.
Oh, okay.
He
what I
actually
said, you
cannot
can-
say that. Yeah. he
Okay,
can't
okay.
You
lie.
can omit the truth, like not reply.
Yeah, he can't
Which is
lie.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm sorry.
It's alright.
I forgot. It's been a while since Elishon.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brushmina is just going to put the armor down and hold out their hand and like, I will take my gold back, please.
No refunds.
Well, then you can take your inventory back. I will not deal with someone who is not take items from someone who is acting so shady.
You bought it. You bought it. You take it.
And Brushmina will glance at Eli and just kind of say, no, I don't think so. Whatever you were hired to do, you will not accomplish.
I wasn't hired to do anything.
And whatever you were pressed into doing will not be fulfilled.
I wasn't pressed into doing anything either. He's like,
You are
basically,
acting very, very strange, and I do not like it.
you are casting spells on me in the middle of the bazaar.
Because I purchased something from you, and then you immediately closed up shop and got all creepy and weird.
That's on you. And he's like, kind of pushing a box onto like a hand cart and like beginning to tie them down.
Brushmina is gonna look at Eli again. It's like, I am not wrong here, right? He's being very weird.
He just shrugs and nods.
Yeah. Brushmina is just going to walk away then. Not taking the armor.
Eli's just gonna like chuckle and shake his head, and follow after. And you see the dude leaves and just leaves the armor lying there.
That did not feel right at all.
No, there was definitely something weird there. Eli shrugs. You're rich. Doesn't really matter, does it? Come on, let's find something for Makud.
I mean, I'm not rich. I do not appreciate wasting my money.
Yeah, it just chuckles.
Yeah, I'm going to look for something for Makud from someone who is not creepy. I want to find him like a little bubble for his like some kind of like thick chain or like horn decoration or like necklace or like some kind of cuff. Something pretty with like a pretty stone or something. Because Makud likes the fancy pretty jewelry.
Yeah, you do find something in like a little kind of trinket shop, and it does set off your a sort of faint little thing on your detect magic. You see what looks to be a sort of
I think the detect magic would have faded once I cast Zone of Truth.
Oh, well, your natural magical instincts then.
Okay, thanks.
It's like a little sort of sword earring, like very like 2003 edgy kid type stuff. And
My favorite movie is The Crow.
yeah.
I mean, the crow was awesome. Shut up.
The Crow is awesome, but I'm saying people who love The Crow wear like dagger earrings. You know?
It's curved like a saber though, and it's got like a little emerald set at the center, and it's selling for 19 gold. This
I will get that.
tiny little old woman behind the stall.
Abrashmina will not bother haggling. She's just going to pay for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um,
She's lost her taste for the fun part of shopping.
Walking around with it, it's giving off some poisony vibes. Not in a bad way, in a good way.
Mm. Okay.
All right. But if that's everything you would like to do, we'll go back to Makud.
Could we take 5 so I could feed the dog and maybe pee?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Thanks.
I don't know if you were just playing with my paranoia, Rob, but that was not funny.
I think he just fleeced you. He wasn't sent by anybody. He was just selling you something that wasn't what it was.
I'll tell you
What he
exactly what
advertised
happened is I'm a genius and was like, I probably didn't charge enough for that. Oh well. And so just made you not want it anymore.
Okay.
But
There's going to be
basically-
some kid running around in an oversized breastplate that can't get crit now.
what was gonna happen was he'd stolen it, and so it was like a very hot item, and there was people looking for it, and that may have come down on you.
Abrashmina's done taking things from like creepy people in the bazaar. It's now the second magic item you've made me give up.
Yeah, well, get good.
Grumble, 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 grumble.
There we go. Fixing a little spelling mistake in my beautiful, beautiful sheet. I really need the what each item does in this fucking thing, because it's pissed me off not having it. So I'm gonna not start implementing that, but like set it up to have that as a thing.
Oh, you used your spreadsheet?
I always use my spreadsheet.
Damn it, I really wanted new armor too.
Bad luck.
Yeah, oh well.
I mean, it's still there in the street.
Oh, by the time I go back for it,
Yeah.
it would be gone.
Handy P.
I enjoyed Abajana.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
he just knows what to say, and I don't know. I find him quite entertaining.
Yeah, he's fun.
I really like the bit where like he starts clapping, and I can imagine him just looking to the servants, and they all like start politely clapping.
Totally.
So are we just never gonna know what was up with the breastplate?
Oh no, I told them. Basically, I realized I'd undercharged for it when I refreshed my sheet, so I just made her not want it anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was gonna have what's the?
It was stolen.
Yeah, it was
It was
stolen.
hard.
So there was someone gonna come be real pissed off at her. That was gonna be the whole thing. But yeah, instead we get me probably getting told off after this hangout for being a dick.
Probably.
Probably. I think that's fair enough, to be honest. Is everyone good to keep going?
Yeah, play for another hour.
Is
I'll make
Jake
that
back?
Nope.
Doesn't sound like it.
Guess not.
I'm gonna pop away for a second. Be right back.
I'll find you some really good armor, see. I promise. Because now I
It's
actually
okay.
feel guilty.
It's okay.
Rob, how would you feel about me using some of the rules from the Unearthed Arcana that C shared? Not the Psionics one, but some of the new class options. It allows you to have like I think one of the things for Rogue was you could retrain your expertise when you level up to represent like losing focus on one thing and focusing on another for a little while. I was considering like moving my focus from I have expertise in medicine. I was considering switching it to Arcana.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I haven't read that UA. I'll have a look at it. But that sounds pretty decent, to be honest. Cool. I like that. I like the option to sort of change things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff in the document actually.
Yeah, very happy for that. If that is what you wish.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Oh, no. There's something. Woo.
Okay, my sheet is now set up to include the descriptions of like what the magic items do. The only one in there is adamantine armor. That actually has a description, but it's awesome. And I managed to find a way to make it not look janky in the magic item shop sheet. So this thing is literally, I'm gonna die and someone's gonna find this and they're gonna be like, Pyramids of Giza, step below. Library of Alexandria, step below. The Great 5e reference sheet. It has the potential to be one of the great wonders of the world.
I don't know. I like my Barovia Taroka reading one.
Yeah, that's really annoyingly good.
You're welcome. I bogarted all your code.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
And then, yeah, basically bogarted your code and then figured out how to make it cooler with the images.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get images of all the magic items and... No, actually I'm not. That seems like a lot of work.
I'm gonna BRB real quick.
I'm gonna finish my monster one day though. It's mostly done. it's pretty cool. I made like one of the tabs is a monster lookup, which basically like will generate like you click a monster and it'll generate you the stat block of that monster. But then also you can like put in your level, number of people, the difficulty, and the location, and it will generate encounters based on the XP for that. The problem is currently it can only do in like all the same monster, so you can't have like mixed encounters. I'm trying to figure that out, but it's an absolute pain in the ass. But I had it on level 19, 20 people, hard difficulty, and so the current top random encounter is 10 planetar angels. Fuck. What? It says 20 level 19 players should go up against 4 astral dreadnoughts.
What?
That doesn't seem right.
What are you referencing?
A spreadsheet I made that generates random encounters and stat blocks and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, an Astral Dreadnought is like a challenge rating 20 some odd, right?
21.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah. That the monster sheet. The like the data sheet that it pulls from is currently in the, so you know Excel goes like A B C D D and then you get to the end and it goes A B A C A D. It's currently in the B's, so it's like 50 something columns. Well, it's huge. I spent so long on this. I don't know why. The magic item thing is amazing and the scroll thing is amazing. They're super helpful. I use them every SAG session.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey.
No, I'm back. Are others?
I
Yeah.
do not know.
Nope.
Oh,
Okay.
where's Jade? We were waiting on
There's a
Jade.
My neighbor brought me soup.
Ooh.
Neighbor soup.
I mean, it's my aunt, but she still brought me soup.
Family soup.
Yeah, she brought me my mom's potato soup. I haven't had this in over 5 years.
Aww.
I hope it's good. Like you, childhood memories.
I'm like
and such.
super happy right now. You could kill my character and I wouldn't care.
I mean, she'd care eventually, so don't.
For a second
I
there,
would
Once the
care
soup
now.
ran out.
Jade, for a second there, it sounded to me like you said you could kill my parents and I wouldn't care. And I'm sorry to say, but the first thing that came into my head when that's what I thought you said was, but then you wouldn't have any more soup.
Oh man.
Where did the soup go?
I mean, my dad doesn't know how to make it, and my mom's been gone for 5 years, so I only get this.
Fuck.
So,
Oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Foot insert mouth. Or mouth insert foot.
I did that to someone who's and made a joke about their dad, and their dad had died the previous week.
Oh.
And do you know what the best part is he was he's just one of those people who find it extremely funny, and by the end of the night, I bet him that because I was going to be going on his stag do this summer, and I said, you can tattoo absolutely anything you want on my ass if you get up at your dad's funeral, because his dad was like a very abusive alcoholic and he has to make a speech. So I was like, if you get up at your dad's funeral and say, my dad was an abusive alcoholic, and then just leave, you can tattoo anything you want on my ass. And he was very much considering it for a long time, but he couldn't do his dad like that, I guess. So
My mother-in-law has that very special gift of doing that to people. There was one time, It's like because she worked at a deli, and so like you would have regulars where she saw like all the time, and then there was one time whenever someone came in and they were all like, she was all like, "Oh God, who died? You look like death," and the response was, "Yeah, thanks, my husband."
Oh,
And then there was another time whenever she was all like, "Oh, I didn't think you were due. When, like, how's the baby?" And it was all like, "Yeah, thanks. Had a miscarriage."
oh.
And that was just like 1 year. She just had like that gift. She just did it all the time. It's like,
Call that foot and mouth disease.
yeah, she has a big toy.
Man, ouch. I hope you don't mind me gently ribbing Declan there, but when there's a cowled stranger in an alleyway talking to children, McCool only has like one reference
That's that
point.
weird edge to him. He is like a guy who wears a mask and like fosters street children and stuff. Like he's a weirdo. It's fair observation.
Yeah. I laughed so hard, Darren. I was really lucky I was muted. Was I
You
muted? I
weren't,
hope
not
I.
entirely.
Oh,
Not entirely. I'm glad because I was mostly doing that for the
Comedy.
laughs. So,
It was pretty good.
are you sure you want Declan? He seems like a chill dude.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We will,
We'll find out.
in case he
right
tries to
now.
assassinate everyone in the barrage. But yeah. Between so the shell is close to where this guy is, and then
Yeah.
on the way back, can I swing through near the marketplace because I had an order for certain jewelleries.
Oh,
If you remember before we left,
you may do that.
I got like heavily gem encrusted initials of people's
Oh, of course.
emeralds
Yes, indeed.
and the red
Yeah.
teardrop
You had a logo.
gem.
Did you decide to use some of the platinum too?
I mean, he would have if he had it.
Yeah. It's done.
We never really came down one way or another whether he happened to have it for story reasons or whatever.
Was he just making one, or was he making one for everyone? I can't
The
remember.
jeweler was making emerald encrusted initials of everybody.
But weren't the initials
so-
like made into one logo? Is that not what we settled on? I'm just trying to remember.
Forgot about the logo.
Because he was
I
drawing
kind of
logos,
asked if there was a logo, like for the virtues, because I was thinking, like I could probably wouldn't know, but like like virtues are a thing, like chastity or whatever. And I was wondering if the guy would have some sort of idea, but then he ended up writing the initials in the sand on the desk, if you remember. So I think it just like
It's just an initial for
think
everyone.
I think it's just an initial for everyone, and then he wanted like basically his crown being built again for the red teardrop gem.
Yeah.
Because he had it in the
Yeah,
mind,
yeah.
the anti-mind crown that got disintegrated.
Yeah. Alright. So you
But that was, I think he said it was going to take several days, and we've kind of taken some amount of days.
yeah, it's probably not long enough to have them all done. Maybe he'll have some of them done.
If not, I just happen to remember it because he went jeweler shopping.
Yeah.
If not, we can have done it tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. We'll say tomorrow it can be finished. But you follow Ilas's instructions or directions, and you find like this kind of medium to small sized house, like right on the cliff edge, and it's got this like walled kind of section at the back that looks as though it's kind of looking out over the oasis, and you sort of see like next to it is a sort of several like plots of land that have been sort of purchased and then kind of broken down and rebuilt as one like larger building. That's sort of like this big. Well, it looks to be quite similar to all the other temples, but it's much more of like a dormitory slash school. And you can see there's like a few people, like adults, kind of pottering around, like with children, sort of keeping them in check. Presumably employees of the place, whatever. But you knock on the door and he answers. His mask is kind of down. You see his like big, sort of horizontal elf, moon elf ears like poking out. And he smiles up at you. He's got like quite a sort of hard to describe, kind of a cute smile, like very happy and a little like boyish for the usual kind of haughty elves that you've seen. And he says, "Ah, hello, Makud."
Is his house opposite the dormitory?
No, it's next to it.
Next to it. Okay. In a line. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is his house like you said? Like it was like a medium size.
Yeah.
Nothing too grand, and then the dormitory next door is like fit for, like how many people? Roughly. I mean, Makud is terrible, but
yeah. Like
50, 100.
Yeah, you reckon probably like max probably a 50. With like space to kind of teach them and like recreation and that sort of thing.
Hello, Aeolus. I have booked my fight for tomorrow. The champion is going to return to the Vakar.
Ah, that is fantastic. Well, are we going to go and go to your bar or something? It was.
Yeah. You're going to get the pancakes.
Oh yes, I'm very excited. I usually have to make them myself. And he'll like pull up his hood and his cowl and begin walking out with you.
What happened to the kids?
They're having their lunch, I think, at the moment.
I hope you are not just feeding them pastry.
No, we have a very good chef. I think today they are having some kind of soup. Something light to beat the heat,
It says that Makud is. He's less affected by the heat than everyone else, I guess, and he just kind of shrugs it off. I don't really feel it. This is good weather.
It is much too hot for me. I think I would burn to a crisp if I showed my skin.
Must be quite a problem. Have you thought about living underground with dwarves?
I haven't. I feel while underground would be okay, I wanted to get away from locking myself in. And shrugs, like trailing off because he realizes he was about to get into like quite a deep life conversation, and he's like, oh, maybe this isn't the the crowd.
I mean, I can understand. I like being outside. And he kind of like stretches his arms out or something, like basks.
Yeah.
It's good.
And he says, so tell me of your friend Declan that you are mentioning.
Well, he is a bit like you. I presume they're like relatively similar in height. or at least to Makood's eyes, maybe.
Yeah. So this elf is quite short, like
Mm.
5.5 feet tall, maybe a little bit more. Oh no, actually, sorry. He's about 6 feet tall, so he might be slightly taller than Declan, actually.
Okay. He's like you. He like dresses in all of the black and looks around in alleyways talking to children.
Right.
I think he helps them and trains them and all this stuff that you were doing.
Oh, he does. And you see he looks a little relieved. That is good.
Yeah, I think he cares for them. He cares for Ashar. For not being Ashar, he cares a lot.
Well, I respect that very much. I do not really see myself as a Shari, but I have tried to integrate, I suppose.
Ashari brings a lot of different people.
That is true.
I think there is a place for a lot of them. But Declan says we can make it better. A better place for better people.
I agree.
He's teaching me, you know.
Oh, what is he teaching you?
I mean, he is teaching me. We are writing a book together. He is doing the letters.
Do you know your letters?
I mean, I know some of them.
Oh, that is very good, Makood.
You know 11 letters. I just counted, actually.
To Makood, that is most of them.
Yeah, you don't know 11, no.
Sure.
There's only like 12, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's like teaching right from wrong and that kind of thing. He has like ideas about how people should be and how you shouldn't kill people and slavery is bad and things like that.
Well, he sounds like a fantastic person.
He is pretty good. I'm not sure he will take you calling him fantastic to his face.
Oh?
He doesn't do too well with like compliments.
You said he is from Lament?
I think technically he said he wasn't from Ashar, but
Oh,
yes. I presume that's a pretty reasonable guess, to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah, I think so. He is from Dithoin,
And I also
where they
sort
have
of,
chips.
I also sort of like giggle, and I say, shake his head and say, the Lamenters are very strange about the things they say to each other. So many hang-ups.
I mean, he does like hanging up. He hangs up from the upside down in the basement, and then does like, and he like does like crunches kind of thing, mimics them.
Oh, he must be very strong. And to anyone like who wasn't Makood, you could tell that this guy's like kind of gone into like, oh, I'm dealing with a child type mode, and so is like being like over interested in everything Makood has to say.
Sure. Makood loves people who are over interested in him, so
yeah, that's why it works.
Yeah. And strong and smart. He does like magic and science and stuff in the basement.
Oh, maybe I should ask him to come and teach.
You know, he might like that. He's always looking to learn new things, but also teach other people new things.
Well, I'm very excited to meet him. And the two of you will sort of like head through Ashar,
Sure,
following whatever winding route Makud takes.
absolutely. The
Feel very
windiest.
warm inside, Dan.
Sorry?
Oh no, that made me feel very warm inside.
Door. Maku takes a windy route. He's still like possibly like look every so often in a lull in conversation or something like is like looking for people trying to beat him up or to be beaten up or looking for answers.
But aside from Ilas, you don't see anyone of interest, really, I'm afraid. But he comes back to the Mirage, and I imagine the rest of you are there because you haven't gone out at night yet.
Declan's been infusing in the basement.
Yeah. Declan's infusing again.
Stop infusing yourself.
And Makud enters with a strange, skinny-looking cloaked figure.
I'm in the basement.
Welcome back, Maku.
Who is this?
This is Iolus.
This pulls down his hood and his ears kind of ping out, and pulls down his cowl, and he smiles at everyone.
And how can we help you?
Oh, and he'll like look at Makud.
Sure.
I,
He is a new friend of mine. He was helping some kids in an alleyway, giving them pastries. I told them that he should be feeding them lizards on a stick. And then he was telling me that he teaches them things like magic, and I thought, like, I know a person who teaches things and likes magic.
And you just thought to bring your new friend over here, right?
Yeah. He thinks slavery is bad, and killing is bad, and all this stuff that Declan likes. And I thought he could be Declan's friend too.
you need not worry. I do not live in the palace.
He said, I don't live in the past?
Palace.
Palace.
In the palace.
Because he's a moon elf.
I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I'm a Bryn.
Pleasure.
And I am Abrashmina Adeline. And she'll introduce her, like, do like a little nod.
It is good to meet you both.
So you help children? Give them pastries?
I have a school.
Like children for like local merchants or
Children who have no one else. I take them in, give them a place, teach them, give them a skill that they can use, give them love and learning as best I can.
That's certainly a noble cause.
Thank you.
And you were anti-slavery?
Entirely.
And how did you meet Maku?
Makud followed me?
I thought he was Declan. He kind of like sizes him up kind of thing with his hand, like. He was like skulking around in alleyways, talking to children and dressing in black and stuff. I don't know many people who do that.
I could see where you would make that mistake.
I hadn't seen the pastries. Declan would probably not feed them pastries.
Probably not. He'd probably feed them something terribly healthy.
Nothing but bran muffins for you.
I was
It's
gonna
good
say
for the digestion.
Declan just jams like kale milkshakes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Entirely too many carbohydrates.
And you didn't run the minute you saw Maku?
No,
would
he didn't. He didn't know who I was. So then I told him, and then he doesn't seem to really know about the vicar, which I think is weird.
You said you don't live in the palace. Where do you live?
In the Temple District, in my house.
You have a house in the Temple District? I
A small one.
lived there for most of my life. I did not hear of a moon elf living there.
There are many people who live there, but I try to keep myself away from prying eyes. You can imagine it is, being me, I have a little bit of a target on my back if I draw too much attention to myself. I don't go out in public without. He sort of indicates the mask and or the cowl and hood.
Why is that?
What possibly could I have said that makes you think it's okay to talk?
Whatever you need to do, you need to unlock your iPad first.
Damn it.
I
What did you
rolled
say,
a
sorry, Mina?
check for myself, by the way, just to see if I heard a new voice upstairs, and I rolled a 31. So.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Lakud was going to come down and get you after we
Yeah.
got past Mom and Mom here, but
But
Declan
What did
just
you
like
call me?
Mom and Mom.
Oh,
like,
Mom and Mom. Okay.
Declan just feels a different vibration in the air and is like someone new.
something is a bit about.
I smell a charitable soul.
It's like the immortals in Highlander. He's like, I sense the quickening. There can be only one.
Yeah. So you walk up and see this very smiley, skinny moon elf chatting with everyone.
Declan will sort of casually walk over to the bar and who is our new companion?
You must be Declan. My name is Ilas. It is good to meet you.
Ilas.
I've heard much about you.
Oh, have you?
Indeed.
He is like you, Declan. He like takes the children and he teaches the children and he feeds the children and other thing and dresses like this. And it like holds out his cloak or something a little.
Yes, I see the resemblance.
I have a school.
And the children at the school, what do you teach them?
Magic, mostly. But anything they wish to learn.
Can I just insight check this guy real quick?
Yeah, just give me
See if
a
he is as compassionate as he wants me to think he is.
general.
29.
So I mean, it's immediately evident to you. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is one of your first interactions with a full-blood moon elf, at least.
I think it's the only.
Yeah. So like, it's immediate. The sort of force of attention that he has when he like turns to kind of talk to you. He's got that sort of Bill Clinton thing where it makes you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely can feel yourself like wanting to like him, but you know that's kind of artificial.
Mm-hmm.
But looking past that, he seems like, to your eye, he seems like a very genuine person, very like convinced of his morals and decidedly doing something. You know, he gave up a lot to be in the position he's in. You know, he gave up his whole life, and so you think he very much believes in the cause.
Well, I am certainly honored to know another steward of the unfortunate souls of the Shah. You are welcome in the Mirage.
That is very kind of you. He beams, like very happy looking. But
He said they might teach you some magic if you help him. With maybe teach the children.
Be honored. Tell me, what form of magic do you practice?
a little of everything. I'm a wizard, so I can do, this and that. Mainly evocation when I was younger, but in my later years I have found conjuration more interesting. But he kind of shrugs.
Does he have a Shari accent?
He has no. It's a very like you've met elves before. They all kind of have these very like flowery accents. This is just a different kind of variation on that. Maybe a little more Ashari, but it's
Okay.
it's very like polished. It's very sort of pretty accent that I'm probably not doing justice.
No, I just wanted to clarify.
No, for sure.
I think they're so separated.
Yeah, like
They wouldn't have like a full thick Shari
yeah,
accent.
like that's why he said like he doesn't consider himself from Ashar because like before he left he'd only been to Ashar a few times, i.e. outside of the palace. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're very much like the Skeksis. Like they just sort of rule from on high and most people never see them.
This is the exile then. When is he going to do a puppet show for us?
I need exposition. Show. Tell me, Ibis, how long have you lived in Ashar?
Oh, do you mean in the palace as well? Or
Sure.
just the Shah?
In the palace as well.
Well, I am almost 300, so that long, I suppose.
And forgive me, my Ashari history is somewhat rusty, but the Moon
He's
Elf Palace.
very young.
Sorry, very young. The
He's
Moon
very
Elf came to Ashar thousands of years ago, yes?
Oh, yes. He nods. I know elves who are almost in their second millennium.
Tell me, what did the elves you left behind think of your decision to live amongst us?
They did not approve. When I first tried to leave, they sent assassins after me. But now they, I think, just pretend I do not exist.
As he's talking specifically about like the moon elves that like might send assassins, I am gonna cast detect thoughts to see if I can get like any surface images or names that might come up while he's.
Do you cast without components, like hands and mouth and stuff?
I mean, I have my my rapier is my focus, so I can draw my hand on my rapier if I need to.
Yeah, I'm
And-
happy with that.
Or I mean, the component is also just a copper piece that I can have in my pocket if I need to, and I can do a sleight of hand check if.
Sure, why not?
That is going to be a 25.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't see it. I rolled a 4 and a 2.
All right.
Ooh, I don't see it either. I only rolled a 17.
Ooh, great, killing it.
A 4 is technically a 17.
I rolled 22.
Woo! Look at the big eyeballs on McCood.
Oh, she rolled a 25, didn't she say?
Yeah,
I know
but
he doesn't
still,
see
that's
anything,
really
but
good.
I
That's
beat
really
the
good.
others
Yeah.
for like the first time ever.
Look at the eyeballs on McCood. It's like he's got 2 of them.
Oh, but I can't roll lower than a 10 now. Haha.
Oh, you have reliable talent now?
Yeah, so, but I still only rolled a 23 in that case.
No!
Curses.
Curses.
Yeah, so you see, not so much names, but definitely faces. You see, like one face kind of flick by that's like a much older moon elf woman who has like a scar across her cheek. You see another few moon elves who all look kind of a little like sickly and old and like feeble, and then you see like one in particular who's very like haughty, harsh, and he spends like a fair amount of time like thinking about this one. You definitely get notes of like fear surrounding her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his surface thoughts anyway.
Yeah, I'm not gonna press
Yeah.
any deeper.
And he says, yes, I think they just pretend I do not exist now.
The assassins, will they barack those?
I do not think so. More just, he shrugs, common slip knives, you know.
Ah,
Well, the poor of Ashar are fortunate they did not succeed.
It does me good to hear you say such things. Thank you.
Well, need you stay for supper?
I do not see why not. He says, though, with your bowler insight check, you know, you get the impression he's saying yes to be polite, and because he does, but he maybe seems like he has like something else that he'll be missing out on or whatever. You know, it's the sort of thing where it's like, oh, do you want to come for a drink? And they're like, yeah, I guess, but you know, they have to sort of go home and see their family or whatever.
Of course, if there are other matters, we will take note of this.
I think this is good. I should have supper with you if I'm welcome to.
Of course.
He smiles and he turns to Makut and he says, Makut did mention pancakes.
oh yes, he loves the pancakes. Now that we have Holly back.
Makut, have you never had a pancake?
No, I
No,
was
Holly-
telling him that Holly has made pancake before.
Oh, yes, of course.
Not often.
Uh,
It is a treat.
I'll,
But he loves them.
I'll see if she can make them tonight for dinner,
Odd choice for dinner, but
or just perhaps along with dinner.
Or
the
dessert.
cake.
Breakfast for dinner is never coming at a bad time.
I mean, we didn't. Yeah. Breakfast
If
for
breakfast
dinner?
is the most important meal of the day, then you should be able to have it at any time.
It's a
No.
dubious logic.
Or if you have two breakfasts. It's
Does
quite-
that-
It's twice as good.
Does that mean I get extra breakfast whiskey?
Yes,
Of
breakfast,
course.
whiskey, and pancakes. Perfect.
It is odd to me, Brynhild, how often you need a justification to drink whiskey.
You know what? I'm gonna go see Tahari and get breakfast for dinner.
So you kind of head off and see to that, and Eyeless turns to Declan. He says, "So Makutu is telling me you have some interest in magic."
Well, I am not a wizard, as you are. I practice magic mostly in the realm of artifice. I have developed certain theorems which allow me to subvert the need for spellcraft when enchanting.
That is fascinating. You must show me this sometime.
Be quite happy to. As a matter of fact, it is my hope that the dissemination of this knowledge may prove useful to mortal kind in time. More cost-effective, easier to master. Magic can bring great benefit to people of the world, but it is a difficult thing to acquire.
It is.
The more democratized it can become, the greater the good it can do.
It is. I've seen many who have come and.
I'm not sure I understand.
Fucking Christ! I need to stop buying shit that can hear me.
I'm not sure I understand.
It actually like makes me jump so hard every time. He says, "Yeah, I've seen many people come and go. I've taught many people, and it is difficult, but worth it, you know. But I think
Agreed.
if we can make it easier, that would be a wonderful thing, because while it is easy to teach a child, it is much harder to teach an adult."
It's quite true. Declan's beginning to like shift a little, like uncomfortably, like not like uncomfortably, like nervously, like a kid at a slumber party. Like, you want to go see my tree fort?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you care to see my laboratory?
I would be honored. He smiles.
Please, come. And Declan will like take him downstairs and like chat him up, like, and these are all my beakers, and these are all my flasks. And this is an
Yeah.
I've arranged them by size.
Can Abrashmina insight check him real quick?
Yeah.
Into the gauntlet of insights.
Yeah, just because like they're moon elves that are looking for insurgents, and so like us being all like, oh yeah, might be a bad idea.
When it comes to the moon elves, there's one rule that rules their culture, and it's if you have a dog, why bark yourself?
Well, still, the insight is 25.
You don't think he's searching for insurgents?
Okay.
He seems just genuinely interested, like a genuinely very sweet, like little man who just wants to do his part. You know, he doesn't have any grand plans, but he likes to be able to help. You know, help a few
And
if he can.
he's being very, very charming, and everyone is taking a liking to him. So
Well, that's just-
Abrashmina,
yeah, that's
yeah,
just me, though.
Abrashmina is going to like narrow her eyes and whisper
just-
under her breath, "Elf sickness."
He just turns to you and goes, "You're going to die."
Ah!
Abrashmina just like prowling like a cat, just like hissing at him with her back arched.
Pretty much.
And then someone else comes in and they're like, "Hey, fuck you," and Mina's like, "That's more normal."
Like this I
This
understand.
guy, this
This
guy
guy.
gets it.
I think Declan would chat him up for as long as he was interested in talking.
He is-
Probably even longer than he is interested in, because Declan doesn't read people very well when he's in this
Yeah.
kind of mood.
You get the impression this guy has like endless patience. You know, he's like works with street kids for a living, so he's had to sort of children who've grown up a lot without parents. So he's sort of had to he's got endless patience, and he is genuinely very interested. So he will be very polite and cordial and listen, and eventually I imagine like the two of you sort of have to be like dragged away up for dinner.
But just to make it explicit, I would avoid showing him the lens, and I would avoid talking about any of our sort of revolutionary activity or anything like that.
That sounds good.
You may note that Maku did not bring up her alter egos or the virtues
Yes.
or anything.
Yes,
Maku
very proud.
is-
Good.
Maku's
So
intelligence
this
has
is
the
entirely-
best arc.
This is entirely like a personal thing, not a business, not a work thing. This is in our civvies.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't know who Makud is, which is a saving grace because Makud doesn't really change between the two of them. But
Yeah.
he purposely didn't rumble anybody. I was trying to be as gentle as possible with whatever this is.
And the food is served, and he, eats, makes very pleasant conversation, tells you maybe some funny stories. But if there's anything anyone wants to speak to him about specifically, they can.
I mean, there's tons of questions I want to ask about the Moon Elves and like what their whole deal is, but like I think there's a little bit of like actual like trust that has to be established before
Yeah.
you're like, all right.
Yeah, I feel you have to know this guy's like, not feeding you lies. You can pass inside checks all day, but you're not just
Is he
gonna start spilling. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I hope he
I also
perfectly.
I love the image of Declan like going down just before he does, and like ILS does, and then like putting all his pamphlets away, and then there's like the Lord Kitchener, Declan, or like the mask needs you type propaganda poster. He has to quickly like rip off the wall.
No, he just has a button under his desk that like folds in all.
Sure.
He just flips everything over.
Mhm.
Yep, absolutely.
Totally normal, super cool laboratory.
I'm just a fan of his work.
Nothing.
The poster turns to something of like an anatomical drawing of a unicorn or something like that divided into bits.
And yeah, like Ilas tells Holly that these are the best pancakes he's ever tasted, and she's a genius, and she gets like all blushy and giggly, you know, a little bit, definitely like suffering a little bit from the elf sickness. But yeah, he's just like perfectly lovely companionship for the evening. But eventually, like, sort of as it begins to get dark, he'll kind of stand and say, well, I must thank you all for your wonderful hospitality. I feel I have made some good friends this day, and you are all welcome to come to my school, especially you, Declan. I would love to show you around.
I would be glad to come in the morning.
He nods and smiles, and he says, well, Makud knows where it is, so maybe he could accompany you. I'm sure the children would love to see you, Makud, and hear of your tales.
We could, I'll look to Makud and say, we could share the wonderful things of Ashar with the children. You could read it to them if you'd like, Makud.
I told him we were writing a book.
I think
It's
a group
wonderful.
of children would be a wonderful audience for it.
You cannot teach them just magic. They have to know about the world.
Exactly. And Alice will kind of nod and say, well, I'll see you all tomorrow. And he'll like pull up his cowl, and he'll go from the very sort of cute, lovely elf to dark, mysterious stranger, and steal out of the room.
Sorry, I can't do
That couldn't have been. Fuck. I'm getting mad again. That's going across the room.
Well, I understand a little more now than I did about the elf sickness. It is a strange sensation to feel taken in by someone against your own instincts.
Abrashvina nods. It is probably how he is able to get street children to come to his school, but I suppose as long as he is using it for good purposes, it is all right.
None of us can help what we are.
We're not going to like bust in and find like journals of kitty pictures, are we? I hope not.
No, but you do get the impression a little bit that he seemed to have like no idea there was any effect in play. And you probably can imagine that the elves just think that people act that way around them because the elves are so amazing, rather than they have a sort of supernatural charm to them.
Yes, it might be what he thinks. I'm sure the older ones know exactly what they're up to.
Probably.
Anyways, I suppose he seems all right.
It's difficult to pass out one's feelings for him, I suppose. It is difficult to trust my own instincts.
He seems genuine, right?
He does. But if we have the knowledge that his presence is as this powerful of an influence, then even our own assumptions must be tested. Rigorous testing.
Sorry, I did not mean to yawn. It has been a very long day. Oh, Makut, I got this for you. Brishmina says, pulling out the little sword earring thing.
Ooh. Makut is going to take it.
It
If
looks
Makut
dope.
pricks his finger, does he get horribly poisoned?
No, he doesn't actually.
Okay.
Um,
I will put it just here and kind of like hook it into part of like the
oh, totally.
headdress thing.
Yeah, for sure. And once per day, it doesn't require attunement. Once per day, you can activate it for 1 minute and do an extra 1d4 poison damage on each melee attack.
Ooh,
Mm.
it's muy poison.
Muy poison. No.
That looks super bitchin'.
Did you say super bitchin'?
Yeah.
Love it.
Totally.
Totally tubular.
You got a name for it? Or,
I
better than Tamim's hooker, maybe?
I came up with it on the spot, so no, but I will send you one
Okay.
at some point tomorrow. But yes, I think we will call the session to a close there and deal with the night things.
I did want to do. Oh,
I'm just
I
conscious
did
of
want
time.
to do. Yeah, no, I just wanted to do a quick sending.
Sure, we could do a quick sending.
I wanted to do it before I forgot. Abrashmina is going to do a sending to Kalafte, the
Right.
Drider girl,
Yes.
and she's going to say, we were successful and back home safe, hoping that you are happy and well. Let me know. Abrashmina.
And you'll get a reply back like straight away. And it says, "Oh, hello, Abrishmina. It is so good to hear from you. I'm doing very well. I've drawn some pictures of you, and I hope I'll get to see you soon."
Yeah. Okay. That's all. That's all I wanted to do.
Well, I will just bring up through the feasting, we probably would have told the dwarves that we like defeated. Like McCood would obviously have kept that a secret. It was all defeated. Everything is
yeah.
okay. No need to worry, kind of thing. Reason to drink.
Yeah.
I just didn't want her to be forgotten, so I wanted to send her a quick message. Because she was the sweetest.
I think she's genuinely like one of my favorite, most tragic characters. I love her. But yes, I think we will
She
say.
doesn't want
Pardon, sorry.
Oh no, she just doesn't want to be cured.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not that she doesn't want to, she's afraid to be. I think it's
Yeah.
more accurate.
because it was like a long time of being tortured to get where she is now, and she doesn't want
I
to
took
go
a
through
blood
that.
sample from her, right?
Hmm?
Yeah,
I'm
you did
gonna-
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I
You
gotta
what?
add it to my to-do list to start experimenting with her blood.
Declan took a blood sample from her.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
I think my plan was to like try to make a cure for her and just give it to her, even if she doesn't want to use it,
Yeah.
so she has it as an option.
You're welcome for the reminder then, Dylan.
And
Yeah. But we will save the Declan and Bryn's side of the investigations till next time.